Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Amirul Mu'minina wa Imamul Muttaqina Aliyun Waliyullah. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير موت. حي على خير موت. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصي نعمه العدون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بحد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن، الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود، فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووطد بالسخر ما يدعى نعرض. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض آلهة مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers, Today is the day of the 15th of Shaban. Last night was the night of 15th Shaban, and because it's still the 15th of Shaban, it's only permissible that I speak about Imam Zaman. Yesterday it was maybe a 20-25 minute lecture, and I said last night that there are verses in the Quran that point to the Imam himself according to narrations from the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. And one of the verses of the Quran that I just pointed to or hinted towards yesterday was this verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Amma yujibul muthara iza da'aha wa yakshifu." So this part of the verse, all of us have memorized. We know it at the tip of our tongue. But what does this verse mean? And I hinted towards it too. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who listens to that person that is distressed when they call? The person that is in distress, when they call, who is it that listens to them? For the tafsir of this verse, I said that Allama Tabatabai in his Tafsir Mizan, he has a narration from the 6th Imam. And the 6th Imam, he says that the person that is distressed in this verse is Imam al-Zaman. The person that is distressed is Al-Qa'im. He is the person in distress. And I gave the whole narration about how Imam Zaman al-Islam, when he rises, he will claim, when he's going around the Kaaba, that if there's anyone that wants to speak to me about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, come and speak to me, because there's no one that knows more about him than I do. If there's anyone that wants to speak to me about the Holy Prophet, come and speak to me about the Holy Prophet, because there's no one better than me that knows more about the Holy Prophet than I do. I am the most nearest to him. If there's anyone that wants to speak to me about the Quran, you're more than welcome to speak to me about the Quran. Why? Because there's no one more knowledgeable than me about the Quran. This was the whole narration of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And then he goes on to say that the person that is distressed in this verse of the Quran is Al-Qa'im. Now this is what I want to talk about. Why is the Imam of the time distressed? What is causing the Imam to be distressed? When you go into the explanations that the ulama give, they give different explanations, and they all, when you think about it, they all make sense. For example, one of the explanations they give is he's distressed about what has become of humanity. Any representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have been sent to what? To guide mankind. From Hazrat Adam alayhi salam to Hazrat Khatam to the Imams after them, they have been sent to guide mankind. When you look at the narrations that state in what type of atmosphere the Imam of the time, Imam al-Hujjah, will rise, you realize what? You realize that mankind is stooping to its lowest. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. The narrations, what do they state? At that time, wars will break out. People will have no value for human life. People will have no value attached to human life. There will be no amr bil ma'ruf, there will be no more nahy anil munkar. Specifically, and as the years go by, I see this problem about music. About music. The narrations, when it comes to the rise of the Imam, they say that music will be so prevalent that no one will do anything to stop it. And we see today that music is being put into what we as Shias listen to and what we as Shias hold holy to us, meaning the manqabas that are being released. These days, there's music. When you ask the ulama, they say that it's haram. And yet, the manqabat khans, they constantly do it. So whose responsibility is it? If they're becoming famous because we're listening to it, then isn't it our responsibility to stop listening to that? The more famous they get, what happens? That fame, it ends up tearing away at their ego. And now there's music in manqabats. This is just within the Shia. If you want to go a little higher within Islam, you have music while people are reciting the Quran. But I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about us as Shias. Why is this happening within our community? Why is there music being, where did this come from? This didn't exist within Shiism. This existed within Sufism. That's absolutely true. Sufis were the first to do this. All the Qawwals, what were they? Were they Shias? No, they were Sufis. Yes, they had love for the Ahlul Bayt, they had love for the Amir al-Mu'mineen. But it came from there within Shia Islam. Those personalities that never liked music itself, now their names are being taken to flutes. Their names are being taken to the beats of drums. You tell me, would Amir al-Mu'mineen be happy with his name being taken with drum beats? Will Amir al-Mu'mineen be happy with his name being taken with violins and all these other instruments? No. When the Holy Prophet, he says what? He says, I was sent to this earth for what? One of the things that he was sent to this earth for is to get rid of these instruments of music. And now these same instruments are used with his holy name. But getting back to Imam Zaman, the narrations state that at that time, Amr bil Maruf, Nahi al Munkar, it will cease to exist. People will stop doing it. If someone was to do Amr bil Maruf or if someone was to do Nahi al Munkar, they'll be shunned. They'll be shunned. And this is already happening. You look within our own community, especially with this topic of music being added into manqabat. When someone says not to do it, what happens? The rest of the community, they say no. We stop listening to music. We stop listening to rap. We stop listening to the youngsters. We stop listening to all this other form of music. Now we're listening to manqabat. Why? Because they put music in it. Are you listening to the manqabat because of the holiness that's attached to it, or are you listening to manqabat because of music that's attached to it? You left that form of music to listen to this form of music. What good is that? There's no good in that at all. But this is the problem. And you see, when you analyze the society that you live in, the time period that you live in, you come to the conclusion that, you know what, maybe I might not live to see the rise of Imam Zaman. But I'm living in that time period that the Imams described about when the Imam will rise. You look at the mosque, the narrations, what did they say? The mosque will be big, the mosque will be beautiful, but there will be no worshippers. There will be no worshippers. That's exactly what was happening 2 years ago because of COVID. And that's exactly what's still happening before COVID. That's still what's happening. You have big, beautiful mosques, but are there people that fill up the mosque? No. You look at other narrations, when it comes to the religious aspect, you look at other narrations about the time when the Imam will rise. Music was one. Mosque not being attended to was one. Quran would be read like it's just a normal book. Quran will be read like it's a normal book. People will start reading the Quran as if they're singing. And if you go on YouTube, you can actually see in some countries, Islamic countries, where they're reciting the Quran the way an opera is sung. They're reciting the Quran the way singers sing. Other narrations about when the Imam will rise or what will happen during that time period. I'm not talking about the wars. I think my father's talked enough about the wars. My father's talked enough about the problems that will arise. For example, the famines that will happen, the diseases that will happen. We see that already. And the wars we've seen, the disease we see. Like I said last night, the coronavirus, it keeps changing. Now in China, there's a new version and the whole city's been quarantined. And everyone's saying this isn't going away. This isn't going away. And in the narrations, what does it say? It says that diseases will be prevalent. It's possible that this is the disease, this is also one of those diseases. And Ukraine was also working. They also had their labs where they were working on these types of diseases. Now we're in a war. Russia is in a war. What will it release? We don't know. This is something for everyone to think about. But at the same time, like I said, we see these signs that are occurring in front of us, and all of us are saying the same thing. We're saying, Labbaik ya Imam. And the 20 minutes I spent last night speaking about what that Labbaik should mean. If that Labbaik is your life, like I said with the narration of Imam Hussein, if that Labbaik is your life, then what do you have to do? Or if that Labbaik is your Aqidah, then what do you have to do? You have to struggle for that Aqidah. And that struggle isn't easy, brothers. That's that Jihad al-Akbar that the Holy Prophet talked about. That Jihad al-Akbar. Before the Imam comes, what will happen? You see Dajjal, and I understand Dajjal, people have taken to mean maybe a system. People have taken to mean a person. Our own ulama, some ulama, they've taken Dajjal to mean a system that will be in place before the rise of the Imam. Some people have said, no, Dajjal is an actual person. But whatever the case is, if it's a system, then are we living in that system right now? If it's a person that will rise up during the time of the Imam, then are we mentally prepared for the trials and tribulations that Dajjal would put us through? Sunni narration, Shia narration, Dajjal, he'll make heaven seem like hell, hell seem like heaven. You take that narration and you apply it to the way some of the ulama have interpreted Dajjal as a system. Isn't that exactly what's happening in this society? Where everything that's evil is shown to you as it's good. And anything that's good is interpreted to mean evil. And when you call them out, when you call out on that, they say, no, you're crazy. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The Imams, one companion of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he came to Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He came from Iran and he told the Imam, Mullah, rise up. To the sixth Imam. Just in our city alone, we have this many people that are willing to support you. That are willing to support you. And the Imam, he says, you have this many people? Okay. There was a tandoor that was burning. The Imam tells this companion, this person that's come to see him, he tells him, go, jump into that tandoor. Jump into that pot. And he's hesitant. He's hesitant. He goes, Mullah, it's burning. It's hot. As if the Imam of the time doesn't know what's going on in front of him. He goes, Mullah, it's burning. At that time, one of the Imam's most closest companions who was blind, he walks by and the Imam, he tells him, get into that tandoor. The man's blind. Get into that. He doesn't ask Mullah, where's the tandoor? He doesn't say anything. He says, Mullah, you want me to get in there? He gets in there. The Imam, he tells his other companions, put the top on, put the top on. Put the top on, they put the top on. And now the Imam, he's engaged in conversation with the man who's come from Iran, claiming that there's this many people that are ready to sacrifice their life from him. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, the Imam is in conversation with them. The Imam's not worried about his companion. But this person that has come, he's looking at the tandoor, he's looking at the imam, he's looking at the tandoor. He's looking. The imam, he goes, what are you looking at? He goes, Mullah, he's in there. He goes, you're worried about him? He goes, yes. He tells him, go pick up the lid. He picks up the lid and he sees that he's in that tandoor, it's still burning, but there's nothing that's wrong with him. He's sitting in there. The imam, he asked this person who has come to visit him, how many people like him do you have over there? How many people like him do you have over there? The man says, Mullah, we don't have anyone. We don't have anyone. Then why have you come here to tell me to rise up when you don't have people like him to support me? Meaning what? Meaning the support for the imam was up until the tip of the tongue. When it came to show that he's willing to sacrifice his life and do whatever the imam tells him to do, he hesitated. He hesitated. But it's not easy to have the ma'rifat of the imam and to know what it means that this person is my imam. When the Holy Prophet in Ghadir Qum, he says about Amir al-Mu'mineen, or when he starts off his sermon, what does he say? He says what? He says, whosever Mawla I was, is there anyone, do I have more right over your soul than you yourself do? That's how he starts off. Do I have more right? Who has more right over yourselves than you yourselves? What did they all reply? They say, Allah and the Prophet. And then he goes on to say, what? After me, Amir al-Mu'mineen has that same right. The same way all the imams after Amir al-Mu'mineen, they have that same right. They have that right to what? Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. They have that right over our souls. If they tell us to go into that tandoor without saying where, what, when we go into the tandoor. That's what it means to say that this is my Mawla. That's what it means to say that this is my Imam. The same way the Imams did not question what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them. That's what it means to be obedient. That same way, it's not our duty to question the Imam when he tells us to do something. It's not our duty. So that's something we all need to ask ourselves. We all say, Labbaik, Ya Imam. But when the time comes and he actually comes, are we ready to do what he tells us to do? It's easy to say yes. But when the time comes, that's when you and I will see. That's when you and I will see. Inshallah, I'm going to end this soon, but just one story. In Sheikh Bahai's time, there was an alim who used to wish that he was in Karbala with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he used to cry. So he read Ziyarat Ashur 40 days straight just for that one wish. 40 days, Ziyarat Ashur. And people that have hajat, you look at narrations, they say anyone that reads Ziyarat Ashur for 40 days straight, with the 100 lan, with the 100 salam and everything, if you read it for 40 days, whatever your hajat is, inshallah, it will be qabul. But he reads it for that purpose. After 40 days, he sees in his dream, before this, he was crying, he wished he was with Imam Hussein. And he was like most of us, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have done this. I would have killed this. He sees in his dream, it's the land of Karbala. Imam Hussein, he looks at him and he says, this is what you wish for, isn't it? He goes, Mullah, yes. He goes, okay. We're going to start praying. As soon as the arrows come, you do not move from your place. Don't move from your place. He says, Mullah, okay. He is in front of Imam Hussein while Imam Hussein is praying. An arrow comes. It comes closer, closer, closer. As soon as it comes close, he moves out of the way. The arrow goes and strikes Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam. Imam Hussein continues praying. Another arrow comes close, close, close. He moves out of the way again. It goes and strikes. 2 arrows, 3 arrows. When Imam Hussein al-Islam, he finished his prayer, he looks at him and he says, why do you lie like this? You wanted to be with these companions of mine. You used to say that you would do this, you would do that, you would do all of this, and you're not even ready to take 1 arrow from me? Just go back. He wakes up from his dream and he realizes how much strength he truly has. Some of us, we're like that. But why are we like that? There's one thing is being emotional for Imam Hussein al-Islam. Just only and only emotion. But it's another thing, not just be emotional, but also have reason with that emotion. Have reason with that emotion. When you put both of them together, then you can stand in front of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam and take arrows for him. His companions, were they just emotional for Imam Hussein al-Islam? No. When they said that this is the Imam of the time, they meant it, not just from the heart, but no, they accepted it aqlan also. Because their heart was saying the same thing, their aql was saying, their whole body was saying the exact same thing, they were able to do everything that they did. Many of us, where are we and where are they? Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعمه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر رياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ما يدعنا رض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وآله وإمام المسلمين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة النساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء صلوات الله عليها وعلى سيد الشباب أهل جنة الحسن والحسين عليهما السلام اللهم صل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي اللهم صل على مولانا حجة بن الحسن صاحب العصر والزمان اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد. Again, just a reminder, brothers, Salat al-Jum'ah, 2 rakats. The first rakat after the second surah after Surah Al-Qul Huwallah, inshallah it will be qunut, then ruku, then sujood, and then second rakat it will be after Qul Huwallah it will be ruku, then back up for Qadhakallah for qunut, and then down for sujood. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله اللهم صل على حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم. لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم. سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا ولي العافية أسألك العافية وعافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. اللهم صل اللهم صل على محمد وعلى اللهم صل على محمد. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد أشهد أن محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأخر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا إله إلا الحليم الكريم لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم سبحان الله رب السماوات السبع ورب الأرضين السبع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر
Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Bihawlillahi wa quwwatihi yaqumu wa qawla. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Azimi wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Sami'allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, 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 Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdih. يا ولي الله في أسرك الله في وافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.